Welcome to People Power Social Club, our daily digital event space ensuring no one feels isolated or alone whilst we spend more time at home. Today we have guest speaker Hannah Christian, Head of Learning at Media Zone. She's going to be talking about belonging in the workplace. Hannah, over to you.
Thank you. Milky asked me to chat to you today. I hope it... Oh, that's really big. I can see myself. Thanks for that. So I'm chatting to you today about my experiences of running a creative team. Work for a company called Media Zoo. Had the pleasure of working with Mulkey for the last couple of years there. So my role as head of learning there. I have a team of about 40 people, all from different creative backgrounds. So we specialise in film production, digital, HTML, animation, face-to-face. So a lot of different design aspects that we work on. And obviously work with lots of different creative audiences, from retail, people who work in warehouses or on the shop floor, right the way up to top CEOs in lots of corporate banks. So understanding different audiences and people is really, really important to me, and belonging is something I'm very passionate about. So I personally started this journey at Media Zoo 4 years ago. I joined as a consultant there, working with the likes of Tesco to understand how their onboarding journey works. So I went on checkouts, understand all their fun stuff, and then kind of after about a year or so, I was promoted to deputy of the team as we started to grow. And then in August this year, I was promoted to head of learning, which is very exciting. And as part of that journey, I was the first female to become on the senior board, which is very exciting. Also, a lot of pressure to do that. So, yeah, I guess belonging is kind of all tied into gender and all of the fun stuff that brings. And I'm lucky enough to have worked with a lot of different companies who focus on diversity and inclusion and what that means. So some of our films have won some awards in the D&I space, which is also great. At Media Zoo, I'm very lucky to have a female mentor. So Rachel, our MD, she's very passionate about supporting other women in the workplace, and she's recently won Female Entrepreneur of the Year, which is great. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have her as a mentor. So the D&I space, I guess, has moved a lot in recent years. People know about the protected characteristics, things like recognising people's sex, disabilities, beliefs, religions, all that stuff. And I think we've moved a lot to recognising them. But now there's a much more positive movement towards this sense of belonging. So people aren't just known for those things that are kind of recognised by law. People have loads of other stuff going on in their world. So companies like Tesco have brought in things to recognise not only these protected characteristics, but actually people might be a carer for someone at home, or someone might have some mental issues, or lots of other things that make us who we are and can affect us in our daily lives, in our work. So this sense of belonging is about accepting that and recognising that, and about building positive relationships with each other and understanding each other a lot more. So this is something that I've wanted to try and bring into Media Zoo and my team, and having these 40 people. Of course, everyone has lots of different challenges and different ways of thinking about the world. So it's just about understanding each other a little bit better. So how have I tried to build these positive relationships at work to create this sense of belonging? There's a number of different tools and techniques and different rituals, although ritual sounds like a weird word, that we've brought in. I wanted to talk to you about two today. So one of them being gratitude, and the other one called shine theory. So I think building these positive relationships, a key phrase for me is it's not an event, it's a habit. So building a really strong positive culture for me is something that needs work. It's a bit tricky to start off with. So when we first launched gratitude, it felt so cringy. Now, you've probably heard of the word gratitude quite a lot. It's become popular now, but how does it work in the world of work? Well, it just was really cringy to start with. So each Wednesday, 2 o'clock after lunch, we all get together and talk about two things. So one is something that you're proud of and why, and secondly, who are you thankful to and why. And it allows everyone in the team to have a voice. So even perhaps the quieter people or the more junior people who wouldn't necessarily be the loudest or the first person to shout out about something that's happening in their lives. So the things that people talk about are quite often work related. So there might be a project that they're proud of, or it could be something around personal development that they've achieved, or they might have run their first workshop, or they wrote their first script and they're really proud of it. But quite often people share stuff that's personal to them. One of the most memorable things was someone talking about coming out to their dad at the time, and it was just so incredible and such a heartwarming story. And of course, that built really, really positive relationships, and it was just an amazing experience to share within the team. So after a few weeks, the cringe went away, and it became such a positive thing as part of our working week that everyone looked forward to running gratitude. And sometimes it's really hard to take that time out of our busy lives to think about what we're proud of, what have we achieved that week, who do we want to say thank you to, because so often we're caught up in what we're doing, we forget to take a moment to think about that. And for me, it's really important. I struggled with it because it's about showing that vulnerability, about sharing that insight into your life. But it's really important to build meaningful connections with the team. And yeah, I can gather some insightful information from people that I can then follow up with them as a manager, to make sure they feel supported in their work environment. You know, they might have something going on in their lives, so I can check in with them then. So the gratitude has been such a great experience for the team. I've shared this with some of the clients that I work with, and they've kind of taken this on board as well. And it just means that people can bring themselves to work a lot more. So yeah, I'd really encourage you to do this in your personal life or any teams that you're part of, to think about who you can give that special thanks to. But as I said, it's about a habit. It's not a one-off event to really build this. If we were to do this as a one-off thing, I think people wouldn't connect with it at all. But by doing it weekly and having someone to drive it has been really great. And the second thing I want to talk to you about is shine theory. So it's based around the premise of I don't shine if you don't shine. So it started off by a lady called Anne Friedman, and it was based around women and building women up. So the theory started in around 2008 when Obama was the president in America, and it was a very male-dominated environment. So the women kind of all got together and decided that they would amplify each other's ideas, so build each other up, because in that environment it could have easily become very competitive and a bit everyone could become a bit disengaged. But actually, instead of tearing each other down, they decided to collectively build each other up, which is such a nice thing, and something that I try to do is trying to shine on other people, especially important for, again, people who might not be the loudest in the group, or um, giving the quieter people a voice, making sure their ideas are heard. And I mentioned Rachel, my MD, at the start. This is something that she's really passionate about, is about shine theory. So there's no, I think it's a nice thing to think about. There's no, success isn't finite. There's no limited success. And we can all succeed if we kind of build each other up rather than having this competitive thoughts, I guess. So by shining on other people, you can build a collective confidence, and that collective confidence can really fuel success. So I think it's a nice thing to think about. Who can you shine on this week? Whose ideas needs a little bit of an extra nudge to get heard, perhaps? So yeah, shine theory is something that I'm very passionate about, and try to shine on people in my team who don't often get heard. So gratitude and shine theory are two things. We also do other things like we have a feedback wall to make sure that we share and celebrate even the smallest bits of feedback. We have a Slack channel where again we share feedback from clients or feedback from people in the team. We do something called Fun Times on a Friday, where someone takes the lead to come up with a craft idea or fun activity. And again, it gives those quieter people in the team a voice and something to do. So yeah, I'm very passionate about building a strong community, encouraging people to bring themselves to work, and yeah, it's about, as I said, that habit to create this community. And for me, belonging is like the sense of acceptance, inclusion, loads of different identities, and yeah, just about recognizing people really, giving everyone a say, which doesn't always happen. And I'm really proud to work for a company like Media Zoo, who has this great culture where people can, be themselves. But also important for me because I work with so many different clients in all these different industries and sectors, different job roles, that I also need to understand where people are coming from. How can I create a film that's going to connect with them individually? So yeah, it's really important. And yeah, being a female in kind of what has been traditionally quite a male-dominated world, I kind of struggled with that to begin with. I didn't want to be seen as the token woman on the senior leadership team, but someone pulled me aside a while ago, a more junior member of the team, and she told me how much respect and how much she appreciated it, and it gave her the kind of goal that that could be her one day. So I actually then had to think, oh, this is great. I need to kind of embrace this now and realize that people kind of look up to me, which was such a weird feeling and experience. But yeah, come to terms with now I'm not the token woman. I've earned my place on the senior leadership team. So yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of chat to you about. And if people have got questions for me about any of the practices we do, but yeah, final passing thought is think about what are you proud of this week? Who do you want to say thankful? Who are you thankful to? And who can you shine on this week?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to know if by this practice of gratitude, is it very straightforward and practical, like during meetings, or is there a space where you go and you have this kind of dialogue with all your coworkers? Is it very straightforward, or it involves also maintaining, the mechanism of making people sure that they are in a safe space and they're allowed to talk and speak out?
Yeah, so when we were in the office, it was every Wednesday at 2 p.m. we'd do a stand-up meeting, so everyone kind of gather around in a circle. We've now moved that to a digital space, so we do it Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. We do it on a Zoom call, a bit like this, and I think it takes time to build that safe space for everyone to be open and honest and want to share stuff. I think the first few weeks when we went into lockdown, people were so grateful to have that space and just calling out people who had supported them or called them or yeah, it's so important in difficult times, but sometimes when we're busy it's hard to take a minute to think about that, and it really takes someone to be a driving force to do this. And often Mulkey would be the one saying, come on, we've got to do gratitude, and I'd be really busy with client meetings, and it takes someone to stand, take those few minutes, and it's so worth it.
Brilliant, great question, Bernie. Kieran, yes, brilliant.
Right. Hi, Hannah. Thanks. That's great. Interesting. I know Mulkey would love it. Certainly. Now, how do you have to come up with subjects for each kind of gratitude meeting, or even activities for each shine? How do you do that? Because I can imagine some people, when you go, it's like you get a group of people together the first time, and you all sit around in a circle, and you go, well, okay, let's do the circle. What's your name and what are you here for and what are you into? You know, you see some people kind of like, yeah, they don't want to say that, and as you say, it would take a while for them to come out. But how do you, you as a group leader specify, like, we're going to talk about a certain thing today, or how does that work? How does sort of the ideas and how do you get the juice flowing?
So there's no set agenda. It's just focused around 2 questions. One thing you are proud of this week and why, and who are you thankful to and why. So it could be work related, personal related, could be anything. I think it works so well at Media Zoo because we have got such a great culture and bond that people kind of know and are happy to share. But saying that, I have done this in a group of brand new people. I ran this as a workshop before lockdown, and I did it in groups of about 6 to 10 people, and who didn't know each other. And there were some tears, and people really opened up to one another about things that are going on, or they're proud of their children or parents, or something had happened in their life that week and wanted to open up. So I think it's just showing that you're listening, and take away all laptops or phones, just either stand up or sit around a table and just give that space and opportunity for people to open up. And quite often they will. There'll be the odd person who won't engage with it. In my experience, it's kind of worked for quite established teams like my one at work. I've suggested this to a lot of clients and they've done this as well. And then new teams and new groups of people, it works too.
And having done it at Media Zoo with Hannah, I think one of the things that helped with it was consistent and regular, that it had that top-down support of it, and also that it was compulsory. So you had to say something, and if you didn't say something, there was a slight pressure on the group that you have to say something so you could try and knock it off and do something funny or ignore the process. But you had to say something, so you might as well say something encouraging or useful. And it took a little while to get people into that mindset. But it had some key people, and it kept going and it kept happening. And you were better off investing in the concept than trying to palm it off. And as more people got on side, the snowball effect.
Yeah, I'd also recommend not going in circular order, because quite often you're thinking about what your things are until it gets to you. So I don't know. We used to have a ball we threw around, so it could be you at any point, or you could pick out the names of a hat or something, so that you have to be ready and willing and open to share stuff, and you're not, and you're also listening to what everyone else is saying rather than spending that time worrying about what you're going to say. The listening part is really important, and kind of setting guidelines and agenda for expectations to listen to everyone else.
I'll ask something. I was wondering if you like talking about diversity and the importance of being that female voice in the room. What do you think about positive discrimination policies, and if those are important to kind of open up businesses or conversations that might not happen otherwise?
I don't know if I agree with positive discrimination. I think things like shine theory can help in not having to do that, because quite often, I don't know, different people from different backgrounds or genders or anything, they have the ideas that they're ready, but they're perhaps not loud enough, or their ideas aren't heard of. So actually, by doing those practices can help that imbalance. And the example I mentioned from the Obama region, actually, in the next presidency, there was a much more gender balance. So by doing things like that, removes the need to positively discriminate.
Stay safe, stay busy, and tell us a cool story next time we see you.